What's going on YouTube? Uberman here. So I've had more than a few people ask me, since I'm a mechanic and I deal in cars, what my opinion is on hybrids for Uber. And I've touched on this subject before. I haven't really gone into too much detail, and I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video either. It's personal preference, guys. I have had some heated debates on different forums over the years regarding hybrids and whether or not it is more economically friendly to you, the driver, to make the investment into a hybrid. Granted, 50 miles a gallon sounds great. Obviously, to someone like me that gets 14 miles a gallon, that sounds pretty amazing. The issue lies in maintenance, repairs, and initial purchase price. While I do like the idea of a hybrid car, I will not get one for Uber. If you have one, please don't take offense to this video. It's not intended to offend you. I'm just pointing out some of the reasons why I would not use a hybrid for Uber. So let's say you want to go out and buy a brand new hybrid. Okay, you want a brand spanking new hybrid so that you don't have to worry about issues. Everything's covered under warranty. Have you looked at the price of a new hybrid lately? Guys, there is a premium on the top. From the beginning, out the gate, there is a premium to owning a hybrid. You want that fuel efficiency? That's fine, but you're going to pay a lot more for a hybrid vehicle than you're going to pay for a brand new standard gasoline engine vehicle. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's no way around it. And true, over the course of ownership, you're going to save a lot of money on fuel. But what you have to look at is the amount of fuel you anticipate using per year. I mean, you really need to sit down and run these numbers. How many miles do you drive? You need to sit down and figure this out before you make that leap to a hybrid vehicle. Because more times than not, you're going to find out that the fuel savings don't offset the purchase price of the vehicle. Okay? Basically, you're going to find out that you're still paying more for the vehicle. Even though you can take the fuel savings into consideration, you're still going to be paying more for that vehicle and the fuel and maintenance in comparison to driving a traditional gasoline engine vehicle that's not a hybrid. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, what about used? Now, there is an interesting conception. Used, absolutely. I can find Priuses all day long. And if I was going to go with a hybrid, I would probably go with a Prius. You can find them all day long for $4,300, $8,000 for a reasonable used Prius. Now here lies my issue with purchasing a used hybrid vehicle. There are more parts to a hybrid than there are your traditional gasoline-driven engine vehicle. Here's just one example. A lot of these hybrid vehicles have a coolant pump for the generator. It keeps it cool. A separate water pump from the engine water pump. Those have a tendency to go out. Granted, they're not really a big ticket item to replace, but it's something to take into consideration. Something that you would not have on a regular car. Now, the biggest issue that I have with used hybrids, the batteries. If you can find one that's recently had the batteries overhauled and are under warranty, maybe consider it. But batteries in these things have a tendency to go bad. And it's not a matter of just replacing the car battery. That's completely separate. The battery pack for these things is pretty huge. It's not the easiest thing in the world to replace, and it's not cheap. You're looking at a minimum of $1,200 for a reconditioned battery pack for one of these hybrid vehicles. That's another huge maintenance item you need to take into consideration. Moving aside from that, an alternator. Most of you probably know what the alternator is on your car, right? It charges your battery. Well, hybrids are a little bit different. Hybrid cars don't use a traditional alternator. So when your generator, this is what it's called on a hybrid, it is a generator. I mean, this thing is big. It is not something that even I could service, and I'm a pretty amazing mechanic, all right? The generator lies between the transmission and the engine. This is what charges the car. This is what keeps those battery packs charged. When that generator dies, you're left with a lawn ornament. period. Do you know what the cost is to replace the generator? It's about $6,000 to $8,000. Feel free to look it up. Get a quote. It's steep, guys. For $6,000 to $8,000 on an older car, say you go get a similar vehicle to one of these hybrid cars. You know, instead of an 07 hybrid, you go out and you get like an 07 Chevy Malibu or something like that. For $6,000 to $7,000, you could replace the engine and the transmission on a small, reasonable car comparable to one of these little hybrids, okay? This is expensive, and in most cases, this repair costs more than you would pay for the car. At this point, the car becomes junk. It's not worth replacing the parts. The transmissions in these things, also, they're different. Most of the time, I believe all of the time, I could be wrong, they use constant velocity transmissions. I have no issues with these transmissions. They're using them in a lot of gasoline cars today. But they rely on, some of them use belts, some of them use chains. It's not something I'm into. I do not like CVTs. I really don't. They use a special kind of fluid. They're completely different, and they don't shift like a normal car would. You don't get that nice 1, 2, 3, 4 shift point. You get a constant motion with really no shifting at all. That's why it's called a constant velocity transmission. I don't want to make this video too long. We're already pushing 7 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. In my personal opinion, I would not invest in a hybrid vehicle for doing ride sharing. In fact, I wouldn't invest in a hybrid vehicle for anything. If you want to take a long trip or something, you want to save on fuel, absolutely. I would rent a hybrid vehicle for a long trip that I wanted to save some money on fuel. But as far as taking the leap to actually purchase one, it wouldn't be for me. The cost for most of you out there watching this to purchase, maintain a hybrid vehicle is going to outweigh purchasing, maintaining, and the fuel cost of owning a traditional gasoline engine vehicle. So I hope you find this video helpful. Again, for the people out there that do own and really enjoy their hybrids, I'm not trying to upset you. I'm definitely not trying to offend you. I have nothing against hybrids. I drove one of a 2014 Prius not too long ago. It's fairly comfortable, decent riding car. I have nothing against them. But in my personal opinion, a hybrid car is better suited for somebody that has money, that doesn't mind spending more for a car than they're going to save in gas mileage. Because for most of us guys, you're just never going to see the extra money you spend on a hybrid come back to you from fuel savings. You just won't. If you want to help save the environment, you want to be eco-friendly, it's a great way to do it. But just understand that for most of us, you're going to pay more in the long run for a hybrid than you would for a regular car that uses straight gasoline with no motor assist. As always, guys, leave your comments below. If you have any suggestions for a future video, post those below as well. I love reading your comments. I love responding to them. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Be safe out there, and Uber on.